Hi and welcome back. I'm back with yet another letter for you guys to enjoy. If you are interested in great love stories filled with unwavering love, betrayal, drama, and ultimately regret, watch this video to the very end and you are sure to be entertained. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe too. Ensure that you do not miss out whenever I post a story for us to enjoy here. Right. Let's get into it. Hello, I'm Rachel, a 35-year-old nurse, and I've been married to my husband, David, for 5 years. David is a great, loving family man. We have been through a lot together. I met this man years ago when he did not have much. He was struggling, and we worked tooth and nail to achieve the empire that we now have. David has loved me unconditionally, and I have loved him back the same way. We were young when we met, had nothing but love for ourselves. I have no doubt about my love for him or his love for me. We have 2 amazing, beautiful daughters whom we have had as a product of our love. David always wanted to have children, and I have no doubt he very much loves my children. Recently, I made a grave mistake that has deeply affected our relationship. I had an affair that I deeply regret. He was very hurt, and knowing David, it will take a very long time for him to recover from this. We have talked, and he promised to try and look past it. He has promised to stay with me and our children despite my mistake. I call this a mistake because I have been with David for all of these years and nothing like this had ever happened. I have always been with him through thick and thin, and had always kept myself for only him. David is a man that travels a lot. He can go away for weeks and even months at times. One time he was on a work trip when I got tempted by one of our neighbors. This is a guy that had always pursued me, and I had rejected his advances. But I was tempted by that guy on that day. He had prior knowledge of David's absence and he decided to come home. Since I was lonely at the time, I decided to have a conversation with him and kill boredom. I offered him a few drinks. One thing led to the other and we had sex. It was the only time we ever did that, despite the fact that I actually had a good time. When we were done with the sex, I told him that that was the first and last time we were ever doing that, and we agreed to keep things secret. Little did I know that he had planned it and was doing it to hurt my husband. I later found out that they had had a disagreement, and he was bitter with David. He tricked me and I fell for his trap. I regret that moment and will forever do. This man went ahead to brag to David how he had had sex with me. David did not believe him for the first few times. He thought it was just his way of trying to get under his skin since they had had a major disagreement. David kept his peace and did not say this to me for weeks. But when he kept saying it to him, David felt compelled to ask me. And asked me to come clean. Or at least tell him it was not true. I initially lied to him that it wasn't true and assured him that I could never betray his trust. I even blackmailed him emotionally and behaved like I was very upset. How could David ever doubt my commitment to him? Was it not enough that I was with him? Was it not enough that I had stuck with him through all those moments when he was down and had nothing? Was it not me keeping the darkest of all his secrets? David was convinced that it was not true that his darling wife had cheated. I thought I was through with that one. All I had to do was tell this neighbor man to back off. But the guy was insistent and kept telling David whenever he met him that he was a weak man with a cheating wife. He even went ahead to describe parts of my body that one had to know me well to have seen. I unfortunately overcame a certain incident earlier in my life that left me with scars on my thighs. When he described my marks to David, he started to get suspicious. David decided to confront me with all facts and threatened to leave me if I did not come clean. With these new developments, I was left with no choice. I told David the whole truth. He was very disappointed and asked for space in our relationship. He asked to take time off and think things through. David went to live with a friend. He neither called nor returned my calls. I knew I was in wrong and kept calm. David called after a few weeks and said he was now settled and was returning home. I was very excited. At least my David was returning home. I prepared his best meals, wore my seductive outfit that I knew he loved the most. David had bought it for me on one of those trips of his. He loved how I looked in it in the past, and I thought he might find me attractive when he returned. My plan worked, and David was himself when he returned home. He enjoyed the meals I had prepared and we later had sex. We talked at length, and David seemed to have looked beyond my infidelity. I apologized for cheating and lying to him, and he agreed to forgive me. Our marriage was now back on track. I had my David back at long last. But after a few weeks, I've noticed a significant change in his behavior towards my children. He used to be warm and affectionate towards them. David was the perfect father who went out of his way to provide for his children. David always cared and was very interested in the lives of these children. He always adored and planned great things for my children. But since he returned home, he now seems distant and disinterested. He simply does not care about the children anymore. He no longer wonders whether they ate or not, whether school is going great or not, whether they are healthy or not, whether they are happy or not. David simply does not care anymore. A friend of mine told me she overheard David's conversation with a friend wondering if the kids are even his. I fear that my actions have caused him to resent my kids, even though they had nothing to do with my infidelity. I do not understand why he chose to forgive me and decided to punish the kids. If he was still mad at me, why did he return home? He behaves normal with me, like everything is well and in good order. How can I get David to overcome his feelings of resentment towards my children and rebuild a healthy relationship with them? I want to make things right and ensure that my family can heal from this betrayal. My family is my everything, and I need it to function like a normal family. Well, that is what I had for you in this one. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please advise her in the comments below and share with your friends so that they can also enjoy. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe so that you do not miss out whenever I post a letter for us to enjoy. Take care and I will see you in the next one.